everybody, and welcome to the Weekly Scopes from the 7th to the 13th of April. Hi everybody, and welcome to this week's Weekly Scopes. If you've heard this before, you can skip, but this is just the intro on how I formulate these astrology weekly readings. I use astrology and my intuition to give you advice how you can practically use the knowledge of the stars and the planets and apply them to your life. So my weekly scopes are all based on GMT time and on Vedic constellational astrology. So now I'm just going to explain what Vedic constellation astrology is and how it differs from Western astrology. So the precession of the equinox is sort of like something that happens in astronomy and astrology, where the Earth's axis undergoes a slow circular motion over 26,000 years, and basically this means that this motion causes a shift in the position of the equinoxes and also the calculation Vedic and Western astrologies use. So around 2,000 years ago, the tropical and sidereal Vedic astrology signs of astrology were aligned in the same position. So if the sun was in Scorpio in Vedic astrology, it was also in the constellation of Scorpio in Western astrology. But because of the precession of the equinoxes, this has caused a gradual westward sort of like drift of the tropical Western signs. So basically these signs, the Western signs, shift 1 degree with every 72 years. So as a result of this ongoing shift, when Western astrology says the sun is in the constellation of Pisces, it's typically in the constellation of Aquarius. Still, this is because the degree, orb and the date for Western and Vedic astrology are 24 degrees, 24 days apart. So in Western astrology, the sun enters the constellation of Pisces around the 19th of February each year, but actually the sun doesn't arrive into the constellation of Pisces until the 13th to the 15th of March each year, and Vedic astrology takes this into account because it's based on the fixed star positions, and Vedic astrologers use sidereal calculations. So as a result, Vedic astrology takes into account the actual positions of the constellations in the sky at any given time, and also considers the precession of the equinox, adjusting for the shift in the position of the equinoxes over time. But in terms of Western astrology follows the tropical zodiac, which is based on the seasons rather than fixed star positions. Western astrologers also do not directly account for the precession of the equinox in their calculations as well, so this results in slightly different calculations and interpretations that are given whether we're using Western astrology or Vedic astrology. So yeah, as I said, Western astrology uses specific dates, so every year, regardless of where the sun actually is at the sky, the sun moves into Pisces around the 19th of February. So yeah, this discrepancy, this misalignment between the tropical zodiac and the actual positions of the constellations has led to a discrepancy between Vedic astrology and Western astrology. So I consider the actual where the sun and the moon are and where Mars and Venus are at any given time, and this is how I formulate these sort of like weekly scopes. So yeah, thanks for listening to this, and let's dive into this week's weekly scope. So this week's main astrological influences are the sun's conjuncture to Saturn. This entered on the 4th of April, is exact on the 9th of April at 12:03 a.m. and leaves on the 13th of April at 10:42 p.m. The sun's conjuncture to Mars, this entered on the 6th of April, exact on the 9th of April at 3:05 a.m. but still influencing us up until the 12th of April. Mars is also making a parallel to Saturn, so this week a lot of Sun, Saturn and Mars energy really influencing our time. So Mars is parallel to Saturn, entered on the 1st of April, is exact at 7:56 a.m. on the 9th of April and leaves us on the 16th of April, so right into next week. Jupiter also makes a semi-sextile to Chiron that entered on the 4th of April, is exact at 12:15 a.m. on the 11th of April and leaves on the 17th of April. This happens when Jupiter's in Aries, Chiron's in Pisces. Venus also makes a contra to Neptune, so this entered on the 7th of April, is exact at 4:18 p.m. on the 11th of April and leaves on the 15th of April at 3:55 p.m. So now I'm just going to talk about all of these aspects in depth before I go into the moon movements and the daily astrology. So the Sun's contra to Saturn, the Sun's in Pisces and Saturn's in Aquarius. So this allows us to be more practical, self-disciplined, but negatively it can make us feel restricted by obstacles and people and our life and our responsibility, and this can sort of like weigh heavily on our shoulders. The best use of this energy is to find a balance between personal expression and the need for structure and ability. It calls for us to align our ambition around what we want to achieve out of life with realistic expectations, making practical planning, looking at our skills. And that doesn't mean that you can't go after what you want, but say for instance you want to be a medical doctor, you have to plan for the 7 to 14 years of study to do so. So just set realistic time frames for your goals and take daily steps, and you will achieve them in the long run. Psychologically, the Sun's contra to Saturn highlights the areas in our life where we need to take more responsibility, and it sort of like urges us, pushes us to face challenges head on and improve our self-worth and esteem and confidence, and it can make us feel more mature and look at our life's patterns, and by doing so we can gain wisdom and make vows not to repeat and build more sort of like resilience in our life, so we can navigate through obstacles and setbacks more easily when we have that innate sense of self, and we prepare for failures. Because to achieve anything, no matter if you want to be a skier, a doctor, a footballer, a gamer, I don't know, a content creator, many setbacks, many failures. It's all about finding what works for you, finding your niche, finding what gives you direction. Karmically, the Sun's contra to Saturn reminds us that our actions have consequences and emphasise the importance of having integrity. And integrity is, are we the same person when no one's looking? And always living to our values even when others are not living, building more discipline, accountability into our lives, and embracing our life lessons and laying the foundations for our future success. The Sun's contra to Mars, when the Sun's in Pisces and Mars is in Aquarius, increases our assertiveness, our drive, our passion for going after our goals. So it just helps us overcome the obstacles that the Sun's contra to Saturn brings to our week. It can just give us a burst of energy, allowing us to be more courageous, take more bold action, think outside the box, and just break away from conformity and not care about other people's opinions as well. But negatively, it can make us more impulsive, aggressive. This can lead to conflicts and power struggles. So to navigate this transit more effectively, it's best to channel the increased energy into being more productive, taking some physical exercise, being more creative, and it requires maintaining a balance between assertiveness and being diplomatic, respecting other people's boundaries to avoid unnecessary conflict. Psychologically, it wants us to take charge of our lives, so it gives us that boost of self-confidence to tap into, and we can just become more enthusiastic. But we just need to watch out for passive aggression or forms of aggression, being violence with our words and actions, and just being careful of managing our emotional and our responses in general. Karmically, the Sun's contra to Mars reminds us that our actions have consequences, so we have to be just mindful of how what we do, what we say impacts others, as I said. And this transit karmically reminds us that our actions not only shape our present circumstances but also contribute to our karmic cycle that can influence our future outcomes in our attempts in life. So whether that's working towards our goals, our relationships, whatever. reminds us to make sure whatever energy and the things we put out into the world is the right things we want to show up as, like I said, integrity, and to assess whether our actions, our day-to-day routines, our relationships actually align with our higher self's needs and serves the greater good and not only our highest good as well. And just knowing that acting from a place of compassion this week can help us understand our lives and also offset, navigate negative karmic patterns that may come up during this transit. Mars also makes a parallel to Saturn, so Saturn and Mars are both in Aquarius. So again, this just allows us to go after what we want. We have to remember to be flexible, to navigate obstacles, gives us that double power to take practical action, achieve our long-term goals, overcome challenges, and work hard and take practical action and be more thoughtful in the way that we navigate obstacles. Psychologically, it wants us to take charge of our decision-making processes and be more committed to working hard to achieve what we want and be more committed to our personal, spiritual, career or whatever growth you're working on at the moment as well. Also, it gives us the power to be more organised and methodical in our approach as well, and it pushes us to consider the consequences of our choices and to act in alignment with our higher self as well. Jupiter also makes a semi-sextile to Chiron, and Jupiter's in Aries and Chiron's in Pisces. So this week, this gives us the chance to use our personal power and assertiveness, which is represented by Jupiter being in Aries, and the energy of Chiron that aids us to be more spiritual, compassionate, more open-minded, to healing our emotional, psychological and spiritual traumas and facing our past so we can have a better future. So with this transit and this week, we have to find a balance between expanding our horizons, Jupiter, while addressing our vulnerabilities, which is represented by Chiron. So the best use of this energy is to, use it for our self-discovery, personal growth, being open to being more vulnerable with the right people and with ourselves, and to, work with others and just be open to healing and looking after our overall well-being. So karmically, this energy this week wants us to and offers us the chance to learn from our past experiences and release old toxic thought and behaviour patterns that are holding us back. The final influence that's affecting us all of this week is Venus's contraparallel to Neptune, and Venus and Neptune are both in Pisces. So again, this allows us to be more creative, be more compassionate, empathetic, connecting deeper with ourselves and others. So this energy encourages us to embrace our artistic and more creative side, and it stimulates our imagination as well. But negatively, we can escape, we can find it hard to tell fact from fiction, and also love to live in the fantasy and illusion, ignoring red flags, lying to ourselves and others right now, especially in the realms of relationships and financial matters. So just be careful with the decisions that you make in these areas this week as well. It can also make us feel more romantic and bring an air of enchantment and magic to our emotional connections as well, but we have to make sure that we remain grounded. And as I said, the lines between reality and fantasy can be blurred right now. But souls can merge on a profound level if it's the right thing to do. This energy can really just open us up spiritually and creatively, helping us to explore the subconscious, more psychic realms, deeper unknown sides of our nature and world as well, and also allows us to nurture ourselves and others as well, and self-reflect and connect with our innermost desires and goals and go after what we want. Psychologically, it wants us to be more open on the love and heart level, and to gain a better understanding of your own emotions and desires and what turns you on and what turns you off, and to be open to strengthening your relationships by having more sensitivity and empathy towards those and yourself that you are in a relationship with as well. Karmically, it wants us to just be a bit more deeper in our thinking, and another aspect that really wants us to have more integrity in the way that we want to do things and stay more true to ourselves as well. I said that with the last influence of this week, but it's not. It's the sun's power out to Chiron. So again, this just helps us with our self-awareness, but it reminds us that experiences and things people say right now may trigger our emotional pain, or we just may be triggered if we are recovering from addiction or codependency or anything else, may be triggered to act in our old behaviours. So just try and build strength, seek out help if need be, take responsibility for your actions, make amends, say sorry for any past wrongdoings, and be open to forgiving others who may want to apologise to you this time as well. So ultimately, this energy wants us to confront our shadows and emerge stronger and more enlightened on the other side of whatever happens this week. So now I'm just going to go into the day-to-day movements and the other things and the other aspects that are coming in this week as well. So on the 7th of April, the moon enters Pisces at 3:10 a.m. so it works well this week that it aids us being more compassionate and intuitive as well, and we can be more creative, and it supports that. But negatively, we can be more emotionally volatile and fall into self-pity and escapism as well. So the best use of this energy is to just go into your spiritual side and explore your inner world. On the 8th of April, the Sun makes a semi-sextile to Jupiter, Venus makes a semi-square to Jupiter as well, the Moon's North Node goes retrograde, and there's a super new moon solar eclipse in Pisces as well, and then the Moon goes into void. Of course, if you want to know more about the super new moon in Pisces, check out the separate audio that I've done for that. So the Sun semi-sextile to Jupiter helps us to be more confident, have more self-belief, which is the theme of this week. But negatively, it can make us have an overinflated ego if we don't balance it with humility, being aware of other people's needs and boundaries as well, and taking risks and overlooking important details. So we have to make sure that we read between and around the lines and take the right course of actions. Venus is semi-square to Jupiter, aids towards being more creative in our expression and social connections. So good for date night, hanging with friends, having a date night with yourself if you're single. But negatively, it can make us overindulge, be impulsive, and to seek instant gratification rather than long-term goals, especially in terms of engaging, taking part in superficial relationships. So just be more intentional about hookups and things right now as well. The Moon's North Node allows us to reassess our life path and goals and ambitions, and we may feel a more stronger pull towards our destiny and purpose, and we can experience deeper personal transformation when the Moon's North Node is stationary retrograde as well. It wants us, all retrogrades wants us to rethink and reevaluate things, and remember Mercury's still in retrograde as well, so just have to watch out for how we're communicating, because this energy also can amplify emotions when the Moon's North Node is retrograde as well, and we can be kind of icy or impulsive or too direct with our sort of words. So this energy allows for us to face our fears and and be open to healing our deepest wounds, and there's lots of energy supporting that this week. On the 9th of April, the Sun makes its exact contra-parallel to Saturn. The Moon enters Aries, the Sun makes its exact contra-parallel to Mars, and Mars makes its exact parallel to Saturn as well, and Mercury enters Pisces. So I talked all about the Sun's contra-parallel to Saturn and the Sun's contra-parallel to Mars, and Mars's parallel to Saturn at the beginning of this. So when Mercury enters Pisces, and of course I've done a more in-depth analysis of this, but in short, when Mercury's in Pisces, it allows for deeper emotional connections and creative thinking, but we can be more confused, indecisive, and have scattered thoughts, because we may be lost in the realms of spirituality or psychic thinking, or just more chilled out in general. So just make sure we double check facts and try not to focus on too many things. Sometimes communication can go off tangent, but communication with friends and lovers can just be more spiritual, more realistic, more emotional, spiritual, psychological, and it can really help us heal within ourselves and our relationship as well. So the best use of this energy is to do anything artistic, creative, explore the spiritual realms in a safe way, and express yourself through compassionate communication. And while you're exploring the psychic realms, as always, just like we have good and bad people, or to use those words loosely, in human nature we have them on the psychic realm, so we never should give our power away to anyone over there, just like we should never give our power away to any other human being. So so just watch out for that with that energy. On the 10th of April, Venus makes a semi-square to Uranus. The Sun makes a semi-sextile to Uranus as well. The Moon enters void, of course, at 20 past 8 p.m. And as I said yesterday, that the Moon goes into Aries, so we can just be take more initiative when the Moon's in Aries. But if you want to know more about that, I've done all separate orders where I go deeper and I talk about all the different moon placements and the things that you can do as well. So Venus's semi-square to Uranus brings unpredictability and excitement, especially in our relationships. It allows us to explore and have experimentation in love and our finances, but on the downside it can disrupt stability. And also remember, I do a day-to-day, so I talk a lot more in depth about all of these aspects. This is just a weekly overview, so it encourages us to just be more open, but negatively it can just bring disruption to our stability in our relationships or sense of self, but also it can push us outside of our comfort zone. So it just allows us to be more innovative, seek personal growth, and have more of a desire for change, spicing up date night, spicing up if you're single, spicing up life with yourself, and just having unique perspectives. It helps us to find freedom or seek freedom, but we have to just watch out for being too impulsive as well. So we have to be open-minded and adaptable right now, but if we can remain grounded and allow room for sighting and change, this can really just make us feel more open and to life, especially Venus's semi-square to Uranus, and the Sun sextile to Uranus blends in well with this and just makes us more open to taking calculated risks and just being more open-minded. On the 11th of April, Jupiter makes the semi-sextile to Chiron. The Moon enters Taurus. So the Moon entering Taurus on the positive side can make us just feel more stable, brings a sense of comfort. So great energy to focus on sorting out our material things, so our finances, reevaluating our inner values, and taking time out to appreciate life, nature, and just the beauty of the nature world, or the things you find beauty, like beauty in others, attractiveness, or beautifying your home. You may want to have cook dinner, go out for food more, and just appreciate art a bit more as well. But negatively, people can be more stubborn, not open to change, and overly attached to their routines. So just watch out for burnouts. People can be more open to be more sensual, but watch out for possessiveness in relationships as well. The best use of this energy is to create a cozy and nurturing atmosphere at home. Engage in self-care activities with your lovers, your friends, yourself. Focus on financial matters such as budgeting or saving, and also just taking time out, as I said, to spend time outdoors, appreciating life and the small things in life as well. Also today, Venus makes its exact contra-parallel with Neptune at 4:19 p.m. and the Sun's parallel to Chiron in the exact at 10:33 p.m. and I've talked about all of these already in the introduction. On the 12th of April, the Sun makes a conjunction to Mercury. Mars makes a semi-set star to the moon's north node, and the moon also enters its crescent moon phase as well. So the sun conjunct Mercury. Remember, Mercury's still in retrograde, but this energy can bring more clarity in communication, allows us to be more effective in expressing our ideas, and can increase our mental focus and boost our intellectual sort of like goals. So it's a great energy to negotiate and make important decisions. But as I said, Mercury's in retrograde, so you just have to be triply careful. Check all facts and everything of any contracts you sign or anything you agree to, even verbal contracts as well. Mars also makes a semi-set star to the moon's north node. This pushes us to be more motivated and supports us as we go into the last day of the week. It supports us in breaking free from old patterns and embracing new directions in life. The crescent moon allows us to set intention, increases our creativity, curiosity, and our sense of exploration and being open. It wants us to take small steps towards manifesting our desires and plant seeds for our future, knowing that failure is part of the process of becoming the best in your field, sort of thing. The Sun's conjunction to Mercury and Mars' semi-set star to the moon's north node creates a powerful synergy, so it helps us to really home in that clear communication and pushes us to, pursue new paths and just take time out to be the best us. Also, we have to watch out with the Sun's conjunction to Mercury that we don't become too self-centered and selfish and argumentative in communication. Some people just want to be argumentative right now for the sake of it as well. So it's essential to maintain open-mindedness and consider other people's perspective to avoid conflicts right now as well, and to just channel all of today's energy and be patient and to plan carefully to ensure that you use these transits to their full potential. On the 13th of April, the moon enters void, of course, at 7:35. Then the moon enters Gemini at 8:14, so it's just in void, of course, for a while. And then Mercury makes a semi-set star to Uranus. The Sun also enters Aries, and Mars semi-squares Pluto. So the combined positives of these transits are increased mental flexibility and communication skills, and that's represented by the moon in Gemini, and we can have sudden insights and be more innovative in our thinking. This is what Mercury's semi-set star to Uranus brings. We can also experience a boost in confidence and vitality. This is the Sun entering Aries, and we can have more of a drive for personal transformation and empowerment. This is what Mars' semi-square to Pluto brings. But negatively, these transits can make us feel scattered in our energy and restless, and bring disruptions to our communication or technology. So just plan extra time in travelling and all that you're doing, especially in important meetings and stuff like that as well. And just watch out for power struggles or intense emotions. This can be brought on by Mars' semi-square to Pluto as well. The best use of these transits is to brainstorm, chill out a bit, network, express ideas effectively, give people time to have their say as well as setting your own boundaries and speaking your mind as well, seeking new ways of doing things, starting new projects or continuing old projects, taking on leadership roles, and deepening a sense of self-awareness and working on personal growth. If you want to know more about what to do when the Sun's in Aries, I've done a long breakdown of what it means in general, the best uses, what it means on the karmic level psychologically, and in our hookup relationships and committed relationships as well. So yeah, that was the weekly scopes from the 7th to the 13th of April. Take care and see you next.